Happy Mass Monday. I haven't done this in a while. This one is a ahi berry Vita mask. Not sure where I got it, don't remember. Probably Dollar Tree, maybe. Sounds like something they would have. Well, last week, it wasn't on Mass Monday, but sometime last week, I did a 50 things, polite things we did 50 years ago. And I thought I'd follow that up today, and there might be some overlap with 25 things that, how's it worded? 25 etiquette rules that have changed in your lifetime. So in other words, those things we did 50 years ago, we don't do anymore, and some of the reasons why we don't do them. There is some overlap, like this particular one. It says you no longer need to address adults using a title and their last name, like I'd be Mrs. Lobus, you know. But the reason they said is down here at the bottom. Letting go of these stiff old rules make for a better, less formal relationship. This one, I don't ever remember doing this in the first place. It says you no longer have to return a casserole dish with more food. It used to be customary for people to bring baked dishes like a casserole to your home during a hectic time or hard time, such as death in the family, a new baby, or even illness. And while people still do this, the expectation that you return their dish back to them with a new home-cooked meal in it has changed. Ross says because that's an expert woman, because she grew up in a time when this was common, she always feels guilty about returning an empty dish when a friend makes her a casserole, but these days simply a thank you note is an acceptable substitute. Even that, nobody really does. You can't just randomly call anyone anymore. Yeah, that's the truth. When you picked up the phone and randomly called someone, it was used to be seen as kind and caring. However, with simplicity of texting and emailing, it's now seen as rude and intrusive to call someone and expect them to drop everything to listen to you speak. Don't call me, I'll call you. Don't call me and I won't call you. Phone calls from anyone other than immediate family tend to signal bad news because most people simply send a text. Calls are reserved for long and serious conversations. Yeah, I don't talk on the phone as much as I used to. I just text mostly, so yeah, I get that one. Men don't always have to make the first move. Wasn't that long ago when the idea of a woman asking a man out on a date was not considered to be socially acceptable. But while some women still prefer this, the old-fashioned nature of a man making the first move, there are plenty of women who take charge of their relationship choices. Take popular dating app Bumble, for example, which requires women to make the first move. I didn't know that. Of course, I haven't been on a dating app. Well, I tried it a couple times and it didn't go well, but men aren't always required to pick up the check. I would say, this is calling it an old-fashioned dating etiquette. I would think on the first date, a man should pick up the check still. And then after that, you can alternate or split it or whatever. Unless maybe that first date's going very badly, and then I wouldn't want them paying for me and thinking I've got some obligation to them because they paid for dinner. I'd just say, let's split the check and move on. The new popular concept is that the person who asks for the date should offer to pick up the check. With 42% of those polled, I guess is the word, feel that way. Kissing someone's hand is no longer seen as polite. Geez, I don't know when the last time, you think back Victorian days, even when I was growing up, that wasn't really considered polite. Especially with COVID and all that, it's like, ugh, no. Don't kiss my hand. And this one, I had forgotten about this one. You no longer have to switch conversation partners at dinner. It used to be every course or when the hostess changed or whatever, you were supposed to talk to the guy on your left for a while and then talk to the guy on your right for a while. And they seated you boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, whether it was your singles or marrieds or whatever. And it wasn't necessarily seated next to your husband. And so you were expected to converse with people on both sides of you. And now there's like all these conversations going on with the people across from you, people down the other end of the table, you know, a little cluster called. Sometimes you end up where there's the conversation going on either side of you and you're not in either one, which makes you feel bad. So I kind of see how I liked this thing back in the day, but you don't do it anymore. You don't have to overdress at work to be taken seriously. Many offices still have a dress code policy, but these days needing to wear a suit or a dress to work is far behind us. Elizabeth Pearson, an executive career coach, says that over the last 10 to 15 years, more companies have embraced a business casual dress code, some even encouraging jeans and t-shirts every day. When I went to, this was years ago, it was before I moved here, so probably 30 years ago, I worked at HP for a while. And they already, I mean, when I first interviewed for the job, it was a temp job, but the guy interviewing me had shorts and a t-shirt on. So HP's always kind of been that super casual dress people. They treated their people, their permanent employees were treated like kings, but the majority of their employees were temp workers, and they finally got sued about it because they would keep you on temporary with no benefits for years. And finally the federal government said, no, you have to, after a certain amount of time, a year or whatever it was, you have to either hire them or let them go. So what they do is they had this revolving thing where they let you go for a month or two, and then you'd come back and work as a temp again. And their regular employees, they were always getting to go on trips and, you know, make amusement parks. And they had this kind of like a food court, you know, where they had all this free stuff for lunch. And they treated their regular employees really good. But at HP anyway, I mean, even back 30 years ago, you pretty much had to have at least a bachelor's degree to be a janitor. Everybody had to have a bachelor's degree to work there. I mean, work there as a permanent employee. So I worked there a couple different times for a couple years at a time, doing different jobs. The worst one was customer service for new product. So in other words, somebody that got a brand new computer and it busted and they called up and they'd ream you out. That was pretty much your day. And you had to like clock in and clock out when you went to the bathroom. And yeah, it was not a fun job. Then I worked more in purchasing, which was more up my alley, and that one was okay. But anyway, I digress. Women are no longer... Easy for me to say. Women are no longer expected to take their husband's last names. Yeah, I think most of them still do, though. I mean, it's not required, but I think a lot of them do. You don't have to worry about wearing white after Labor Day anymore. That's been like forever that you haven't had to do that. I've got a friend that still believes that way, and so I purposely wear white after Labor Day just to tweak her a little bit. It used to be between Memorial Day and Labor Day you could wear white, like white shoes, white clothes. But the rest of the year that was not allowed. I have no idea why. But let's see, have a reason here why it was once a rule of fashion? The rule existed because those in high society would wear white during the summer months to stay cool. But after Labor Day, that color is no longer a practical option for daily tasks, so the wealthy would switch out white linens for darker clothes to indicate summer was over. It was time to get back to work. Okay. But no, we don't do that anymore. You no longer have to wear white on your wedding day. No, I don't know why, but I've gotten hooked on this. There's a Reddit thread that people put their wedding dresses on there, and it's like, I'm trying to decide between these 3 dresses. Which one looks best on me? That kind of thing. I don't know why. Maybe because I've got 3 adult granddaughters, and soon I'll be into that whole wedding dress thing. Sorry, still have the cough. Wish I could get rid of it, but I still have it. And some of the dresses I've seen are really pretty with, like, they're, I don't like the ones that are like red or bright purple or whatever, because they just look like a evening gown. But some of them, they'll be like a delicate pink with a little bit of flowers on it or something, and those are kind of pretty. You aren't required to ask someone to be in your wedding party just because you were in theirs. I didn't even know that was a thing ever, but I guess so. It's a lot of gray area when it comes to modern wedding etiquette. In the survey for the company, one of the most shocking changes in etiquette is that people no longer feel obliged to include someone in their wedding party. Survey revealed that 54% of people believe there were no rules when it comes to selecting a wedding party. Well, I don't know why there should be. The bride's family is no longer required to foot the bill. Yeah, we kind of, when my kids got married, everybody chipped in. I paid some, the bride's family paid some, the kids themselves paid some. My younger son, his wife, family, they had somebody made the bouquet and somebody made the cake, and they had a potluck type meal, and just it was just everybody chipping in. And a lot of people are getting married later in life, and they're already established in their careers. They don't need their parents to do it. So, yeah, even when my kids got married 25 years ago, we kind of all chipped in together. Women no longer have to place a hand on their lap during dinner. I've forgotten about this too. That was considered ladylike, is to eat with one hand. Don't have your hand unless you're cutting your meat. But lay your hand in your lap like a lady. That was just stupid. Sorry. I should cut that out so you don't have to hear it. You no longer have to follow a formal funeral dress. I still do. I at least wear dark. I don't wear, maybe not necessarily a dress. I might wear dark clothes, but I still at least wear dark clothes. Maybe not a black dress, but, Hosts no longer have to avoid asking personal questions about their guests. When hosting a dinner party, it used to be seen as taboo or rude for host or hostess to ask personal questions about their guests, even when it came to things like allergies, dietary restrictions, and religion. However, this is actually the opposite of what takes place nowadays. With so many people having different dietary restrictions, food allergies, and religious beliefs, it would almost be considered rude for a host to not ask. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I've gone to many a dinner where I couldn't eat anything because I was gluten-free. Women no longer need to be served first at a restaurant. It used to be, we talked about this last week. It used to be they'd serve the oldest woman first, and then, or they'd start with one woman and they'd go around the table and do all the women, and then they'd go around the table again and do all the men, and that's just silly. Now they just do it in order of how you're sitting, so it's easier for them to keep track of and just makes more sense. You don't have to worry about whether or not your elbows are on the table. Yeah, we talked about that last time too. Nobody cares. We more lean towards people while they're speaking, the more it's evident to them that were interested in what they're saying. So if you're sitting at a table, that means your elbows will most likely be on top of it, and it's not seen as rude. It's like, you're interested in what they're saying. You don't have to wait for the whole table to be served before you eat. We talked about that a week too, and I still do that. I don't know why, but it's kind of silly because you don't want anybody's food to get cold. You don't have to have alcohol to participate in a toast. I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess it used to be due to an old superstition dating back to ancient Greece. It was common etiquette rule that those not drinking alcohol had to refrain from raising their glass in a toast. Yeah, that's stupid. Didn't even know that was etiquette. Because when I got married, I don't like the taste of any alcohol, and I particularly don't like champagne. So when I got married and we had a reception and they were going to do toasts and stuff, I snuck and I filled my glass full of ginger ale so it looked like champagne, and nobody knew the difference. So they did all the toasting they wanted, and I was drinking. I don't like ginger ale very well, but it was better than wine. Ugh. You don't have to wait for a woman to extend her hand before offering yours to shake. Yeah, you don't see that very often. They don't wait for women. I don't really like shaking hands that much anymore. Partly because I've got arthritis in my hands, and partly because of cooties out there. You can share your personal information with whoever you want. Well, yeah, why not? If you want to, it's up to you. Some people, though, it's like, oh, TMI, I didn't want to know that. You're free to talk to strangers. I've always talked to strangers. I used to embarrass my kids. We'd be in line. One time I remember I was in line waiting to vote, and they took the kids with me. Example of, civic duty and all that. And I was talking to the people in front of me, people behind me, and they're like, do you know these people? And I'm like, no. Don't know them. I've always talked to people in grocery store clerks, people in front of me in line, behind me in line. I just always talk to strangers. You can bring up serious topics during group conversations. Used to be, politics and religion were taboo, and nowadays, I might be going back to that because there was a time when, in the last, 20 years or so, it was just healthy discussion. But now it's become so full of vitriol and, so polarizing that maybe we should go back to that again. You don't need to address a letter to sir or madam anymore. In fact, you probably shouldn't. With gender norms changing, it's rude to make presumptions about how a person identifies themselves when it comes to gender. Ugh. Okay. So it should be something along the lines of, to whom it may concern. Yeah, that one's just, whatever. I mean, they can call themselves whatever they want, but what bugs me is they say we're like racist or homophobe or whatever if we don't catch on and call them by whatever weird one of the 400 gender identifications that there are out there now. I don't know. Crazy. All right, this has been 20 minutes, so take this off. Oh, it's still really goopy. Put some on my elbows. Well, so how'd you like that? I'm done, I promise. I won't do any more. That was kind of a little bit repetitious, but that was a little bit interesting, some of the reasons behind why we did some of those things or we stopped doing some of those things. So I thought it was a little bit interesting. So after I film this, I'm going to do a couple more that'll come out later this week. I'm going to show you the mystery of why I bought a pool noodle. I bought two of them, in fact. So we'll will do a video on what I'm using the pool noodle for. And I'm going to do another I'm cleaning out my closet video. That one got a lot of views, over 400, which for me is pretty good. So I'll keep on going if you'll keep on watching. This time I'm going to do sleeveless tops. I have lots of sleeveless tops because I live in Texas. I know a lot of people, because they're like, oh, I don't want to show my flab. Well, I've earned this flab. The reason this hangs down like this is because I lost 100 pounds, and it's just skin mostly. So I'm proud of my flab. So I wear sleeveless tops because A, it's hot, and B, I don't care if people see my flabby arms. So those two will be coming out later this week. Today sometime, I was supposed to do it yesterday, I didn't get to it. I'll do the drawing for the Dollar Tree red, white, and blue collab that we did. I have a $10 gift card that I'm giving away for that Dollar Tree collab. So watch for that. That's coming out today sometime. You can see if you won. Alrighty, that's it. It's been 21 minutes. This is a long video. I apologize, but you know me, I get to talking and I'm like, one more thing. Last I looked, I was 23 away from 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. And when I get to 1,000, I'm going to have a big giveaway. In fact, I have a Temu coming that most of that is going towards that. I sent back some shoes to Temu, and so I'm taking that money plus adding some more to it and getting a bunch of stuff from Temu. Plus I already have a bunch of stuff for that 1,000 subscriber giveaway. It's going to be a big one. Well, big for me anyway. I can't afford giant ones like some of the other people can because my budget's pretty tight. But I really appreciate y'all, love y'all, and I want to do something special for you when we hit 1,000. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Love y'all. Bye-bye.